The Cosmic Cresto is not about healing the sick and working miracles. The Cosmic Cresto is not tangible. The Cosmic Cresto is not a person. The Cosmic Cresto brings all together as a unified whole. The Cosmic Cresto is that sickle that reaps that which is ripe and ready, fit for use, manageable. The Cosmic Cresto lifts all crystals onto that plane where love manifests itself as oneness. Welcome to part 5 in this spirituality session series entitled Unfolding the Missing Piece in the Spiritual Puzzle. Today we bring you on a journey in the belief system called Cresto. We've come a long way, and I am assuming that since you are still with us, you are curious as to what this belief system is all about. You need to know some more about this belief system that explains all things, or you're really interested in becoming a Cresto. We start this aspect of our journey with an excerpt from the Secret Book of John. And the Secret Book of John is numbered among the collection that was from the Nag Hammadi 1945 discovery. And it reads thus: The One is sovereign. It is God and parent. It is the Father of all. There is nothing before the One, and nothing comes after the One. The One is an invisible spirit and should not be thought of as a god or be likened unto a god. The One does not exist within anything but itself. It is eternally self-sufficient and complete. The One is absolutely complete in light. The One is limitless in time and space, since there is nothing before it to limit it. Unfathomable, since there is nothing before it to view its inception and hence understands it. Immeasurable, since it is perpetual. Unutterable, since there is nothing outside of itself to comprehend it and to speak of it. Unnameable, since nothing existed before it to give it a name. The One is immeasurable light. It is more than that which we see and describe as existence. It is not a part of what exists, neither time, space, or substance. What exists is a part of it. Time is not allotted to it, since it receives nothing from anyone. The One beholds itself within itself. The One is a kingdom that gives rise to many kingdoms. The One is a life that gives birth to all life. The One is knowledge that gives rise to all knowledge. What shall I say to you about the One? The One is the head of all kingdoms, and it sustains them all. The One beholds itself in its own light. All belief systems that act as a unified whole seek to anchor themselves in a thought that relates to the origin of life. The Cresto, or cosmic thought, is no different. Any belief system that does not seek to address the origin of life is unable to produce in its followers a sense of direction, purpose and meaning, and identity. But, as pointed out in the above reading, it is not possible to have a full understanding of that from which life emanates. In a previous video entitled, "What is the Shape of God?" it was made clear as to why a full understanding of the original substance is impossible. What is of certain is that the beginning is one. The beginning is not two, neither is it a trinity. The beginning is one, and from this one comes forth the all. We have an understanding of the one by looking at its characteristics and function. Since the one is limitless in time and limitless in space, the one may be referred to as infinite space. Space is not empty, but neither is it full in regards to matter or the physical. And space is in constant vibration. Space is formless and obviously without boundary. Space is one. There are not two spaces separated by a chasm of some sort. If this were the case, then the two spaces and the chasm that separates them would have to be supported by one. So all comes from one, a formless, infinite, deep. One is the parent of all that exists. One is spirit. It is immaterial. The one is invisible, but the one vibrates constantly. And even during the rest phase of the cosmological cycle, the one is in constant vibration. The one does not exist in something other than itself. The one exists within itself. And all that exists within the one. In fact, the one is more than what we perceive as existence. Its existence is beyond our definition of existence. The one is a God that gives rise to all gods. And when we speak of gods, our definition is a conscious energy field that has enough knowledge to support life in a meaningful way. The one is a God that gives rise to all gods. The one is a kingdom or governing principle that gives rise to all kingdoms and governing principles. But the characteristic of the one that concerns us most in this series is the one is eternally self-sufficient and complete. All that the one needs is within itself. There is no place outside of itself for it to borrow. And if the one is desirous of advancing itself, all that it needs to do so must be found within itself. This is an extremely important point and one of the takeaway from today's session. For the one to advance itself, all it needs to do so must be found within itself. Being self-sufficient means the one is able to nourish itself and advances itself from within itself. The one has its own checks and balances that controls its cycle of evolution, involution, rest. Evolution, involution, rest. Evolution, involution, rest. All the beauty and majesty that the one seeks is within itself. And the only way for it to view its own beauty and majesty is to behold itself within itself. Now, life suggests movement. There has to be movement of some sort for there to be life. And for life to be perpetual, there has to be constant movement. But for life to advance itself, a self-sufficient system must first exhibit a lack within itself, and that lack must be filled from within itself. So, the One is a kingdom that gives rise to many kingdoms. The One is life or awareness that gives rise to life, awareness, or consciousness. The One is knowledge that gives rise to innumerable knowledge. And when the One needs to view its own evolutionary advancement, the One beholds itself in its own light. Putting together all we have learned so far about the original substance, we can construct a descriptive sentence for the life-giving force. The One is conscious light energy that is self-sustaining and self-organizing. The One is therefore a self-organizing system. I think this is a lot for you to ponder over the week. And so we are going to rest our case here. In part 6 of this series, we will have a closer look at the functionality of a self-organizing system. Have yourself a great week, and may you become full.